everybody. Sorry I couldn't be here today, but I'm glad you're here in the art room. Today we're going to pause for 1 second on our weavings. I know you're really excited about taking them home. However, I didn't want our guest teacher to have to go through the process of taking them off of our looms. It's kind of a big deal, and I'm going to walk you through that next week, okay? So you gotta be patient one more week. So today we're going to take a pause from our weavings, and we're going to do a beautiful watercolor waterfall, and it's based off a really amazing Canadian artist. So it's inspired by J.E.H. MacDonald, and I'm excited about it. So let's get going. All right, you guys, like I said, we're going to be doing this beautiful waterfall. It's inspired by an artist named James Edward Hervey MacDonald. He was born in Canada. He was born in England, moved to Canada when he was younger, and began studying art at 14. And he ended up being a commercial designer, and he liked that a lot, but he left that and became a landscape painter. So today we're going to be doing this beautiful watercolor landscape. So here's what you're going to need right now. For the first part of this, we're going to need a nice big old clean piece of white construction paper. You're going to need, each of you are going to need a set of my oil pastels. So go ahead and get that, and let's get ready. Pause this as you need to. All right, go ahead and write your name on it, please, and your class code. And let's flip this baby over. All right, guys, we're gonna be working with a black oil pastel. Be bold, be brave. Don't be scared of using things that are permanent and not using a pencil. You got this, wonderful artists. Okay, one tip. Oil pastels are gonna get on your fingertips, and they're gonna get on your paper. And kind of see what I just did there by wiping it away. Once I get oil pastel on here, I don't wanna do that because it's going to smear all over everything, and we don't want that. Okay, so let's start up at the top, and we're gonna leave a little bit of space at the top for some kind of mountainy tree area. So I want you to take your hand and put it at the top of the paper, and where your hand ends, go ahead and just draw like a line all the way across. It doesn't have to be straight. It can be kind of curvy, so go ahead and do that. All right, let's put a line about 2 fingers down from that. Same kind of curvy line. All right, the next one we want to be about 3 fingers down. So we're gonna be getting a little bit wider the farther down we go. You know what I'm gonna say. Let's do this one about 4 fingers. Okay, now before we do anything else, we have 4 lines here. I'm gonna move my paper up here so you can see it. Before we do anything else, we're gonna draw some trees down here. And they can just kind of be any kind of curvy shape that you want. I'm gonna connect mine by this little middle line. So I have trees down here. Once you get your trees, you're gonna see how much room you have for one more line. I'm gonna do one more line that's a little bit farther spaced than this one. And it's gonna kind of come right here. I might cut into my trees, and that's totally fine. All right, so now we have this paper. We have 5 lines, and we have some kind of bushes or trees down here at the bottom. All right, here we go. How'd that go? If you make a mistake, remember you have 1 chance to flip your paper over. Hopefully you write your name in the corner or not too big across the back. Okay, so now that we have all of these lines, these are gonna be like our rocks that are gonna be going on the side. And now we're gonna be doing this waterfall that's coming down. So we're gonna talk a little bit about perspective. Excuse me. So when things are farther away, they get smaller, and they get bigger as they come closer to us. So let's think about a waterfall. The higher up the waterfall gets, it looks like it starts out skinny and it just gets bigger and bigger. So we're going to do that with our paper. All right, starting at the top line, we're gonna start with a line that's going to gradually get a little bit wider as it comes down, and it's gonna go all the way down to my trees. Now I don't want it to be huge and like diagonal like this. I just want it to be a real slight curve. So watch before you do it. I'm gonna start here, and I'm just gonna kind of make it a little bit curvy, and it's gonna just kind of start getting a little bit wider as it goes down, but not crazily. And I'm gonna do the same thing on this side, getting a tiny bit wider, coming over here until I hit my trees. So here is what we're looking for. So notice it's not this big thing coming way out here. It's still coming straight down the middle, but it's getting just a tiny bit wider because this is getting closer to us. And so the rules of perspective say the closer it gets to you, the bigger it gets. All right, way to go. That was like one of the harder parts of this. Once you have that done, we're gonna do one more line, and then we're gonna start adding some details. Here at the top, let's draw a zigzag line to be some mountains full of trees. And they don't have to all be the same. You might do some little ones. Go ahead and get that zigzag line all the way across. All right, now that we have our main drawing, remember, don't start wiping this because you're gonna get oil pastels all over your hands and you're gonna get oil pastels smeared all over your paper. If you have some smears, it's not a big deal because we're gonna be painting this, so it should cover it up. So now what we're gonna be doing is we're gonna be using some different colored oil pastels to add some texture lines, okay? So texture, you know, is how something feels. It could be rough, it could be smooth, silky, it could be bumpy. We're gonna try to add just some lines to make our waterfall and our mountains have movement for the waterfall and then also some texture for the rocks and the trees. So we're gonna use, for the top, let's use blue and green. There's a light green that you can use. If you wanna just use a light green and a dark green, that's a choice for you too. I think I'm gonna use a blue and a green. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna take our oil pastel and we're gonna make some zigzag lines that are vertical. So they're not like going horizontally, they're kind of going up and down. And they don't have to be all the way down. I can kind of make them each unique. And I'm gonna use two colors so that when I paint, I'm gonna also paint with two colors. So I'm gonna use my green one to also make some zigzag lines. And like I said, they don't have to all be the same. You can match them up right next to each other if you want. Now we don't want to fill this in because we're actually going to be painting it. So you're just adding some lines to kind of show some, like I said, some texture and also just to make it look better because it's adding just, instead of one color, we're adding more colors to it. Okay, so now we want to add some movement to our waterfall. So remember, our waterfall is just right here inside this. This is all going to be rock. So this is our waterfall. So using the blue oil pastel, and if you want to use blue and purple, I think that would also work. Or if you wanted to use blue and white will kind of make a little wax resist on here so that when you paint it blue. So it's kind of up to you. You want to use, I'm going to use white and blue, I think. And I'm just going to make some little lines. Let's see, I'm not going to make a ton of them. I'm going to make some lines that are kind of coming down my waterfall. And my lines should be getting bigger as I'm going down in each section. And then this last section, don't color in your trees, just color around them. All right. Awesome, done with our waterfall. Okay, let's talk about, oh, sorry, I wasn't showing this part. Down here, make sure you don't go into your trees. Okay, now let's do our rocks. So we're gonna use two different colors. Yeah. All right, for my rocks, I think I'm gonna use brown and this like kind of a rusty color brown. I have two different color browns. Do you see that? So for this, I'm just gonna draw some kind of curved lines, almost like C's and backward C's. And they don't all have to be the same. Like I might do a big one here some couple small ones. I'm just kind of trying to draw, like, these are the little like edges of the rocks. And it's just kind of showing that they're jagged. They're not just like a straight panel of rocks. So you want to just add some kind of little curved lines. If you wanted to make yours, you know, a little more natural and organic, you could do that. I'm fine with that. Just go for it. So organic kind of just means it's just like a natural kind of a shape that a rock would normally take. So this is just here in our rocks. Okay, once you have those texture lines, we're gonna move down to our trees or our bushes down here. I'm gonna make mine kind of fall colors. So I'm gonna use orange and probably red. And I'm just gonna kind of follow the same lines that I had, these little kind of curvy, bumpy lines. And I'm just gonna add a little bit of texture, making them all a little bit different. If you wanted to add some yellow in there, you could add some yellow in there. There's kind of like this yellowy, kind of goldish color inside of our oil pastel boxes that we have. It's kind of a cool color. All right, remember, don't fill it up. You just wanted to add some lines. All right, you guys, we've added all of our texture lines. Now we are ready to paint. So here's what you're going to need. You and your shoulder partner are going to be sharing one of these. Okay, oil pastels, the smaller ones that only have 8 colors. This is what you need. Now look at my blue. See my blue, how it looks like it's almost done? It is almost done, but I have a lot of paint left in there, so don't worry about it if yours is very low. I promise you, you can use it until it's totally gone. You're also going to need, you and your shoulder partner are going to need a cup of water, and you're each going to need a paintbrush. So go ahead and get prepared. Oh, don't forget a placemat. All right, you guys, we're going to start painting. You should have your watercolors. You should have some water, a paintbrush, and your beautiful drawing of this gorgeous Canadian waterfall landscape. All right, let's start with our water, okay? Water is going to be the only one that we paint, the only thing that we paint one color. Every other section, we're going to use 2 colors, but water, we want it to look really natural. So what we're going to be doing with the water is we're only going to be using blue. And what I want you to do is let's start here at the very bottom section. And I want you to actually just paint a line that kind of follows the same line as that last section. Okay, just paint a line across the bottom. We're going to try to leave a little bit of white at the top of each of these sections. So this section, this section, this section, all the way up. A little bit of white where it's kind of the water is crashing and it kind of creates those white caps. So once you have the bottom part painted, get some more paint and you're just going to kind of drag your paintbrush up. And I'm not going to go all the way up to the top of that black line. I'm just going to go up close to it because I want to leave a little bit of white right there. And I could have a few of them that are touching the black line, but I really want to leave some white right there. And I don't want all of this to be like a perfect one color blue. So I might have some like really darker spots and I might have some lighter spots. And we're going to do that to every section so that I'm going to go up to the next section and just do a line there at the bottom. And then I'm just going to go ahead and paint all the way up, kind of pulling my paint from the bottom up to the top. When I need to go get more paint, I just go get some more paint. And remember, we're not painting all the way to the top. We're leaving a little bit of white to show the water kind of crashing down. Now, friends, watercolors are supposed to be lighter. They're not supposed to be super dark. If we want super dark, we should use tempera paint. So you want these to be this nice light color. So I don't want to see you guys rubbing the paint 37 times trying to get so much paint on your paintbrush. You don't need to do that. You're going to dip in the water. You're going to go 1, 2, 3, and then you're going to be painting. Okay, and we're going to go up every all of these water sections, painting that line near the bottom, and then just dragging our brush up toward the top. Remembering we're not going all the way to the top. When you need more paint, just go get more paint, pull it up. This is called pulling paint because I'm just kind of pulling it from the bottom and going up to the top. See how it's kind of leaving like some darker spots? That's what we want. We want some darker spots because we want this to look natural. So if you have to go back in, like I'm looking at this section right here and it looks all the same color. So I might just go back in, get some more paint and like put a little bit more paint in a few spots over here to kind of make it look more organic and natural. I want this line to kind of be bumpy. I don't want it to be a straight line across because in nature, there are not a lot of things that are straight across. Okay, so go ahead and let's do this to our whole waterfall. Painting that line toward the bottom, pulling that paint up toward the next section without going all the way to that black line. Getting more paint when I need to. You'll kind of see that all of that, the oil pastels that we put on here are making that really cool resist. So go ahead and paint all of your waterfall. Adding some darker spots if you need to. All right, you guys, now that we have our water done, mine's drying really nicely and I can see that I can really look at the darker spots and see that white part where it's crashing. So now what I want you to do is I want you to paint all these other different sections. Now you're gonna wanna use 2 colors per section. So remember the water was the only one we were using just blue, but for the trees up here, the trees and mountains, you're gonna use 2 colors. Rocks, you're gonna use 2 colors, and then down here, in the bushes or the trees down here, you're gonna wanna use 2 colors. So kind of use your oil pastels as a guide. I'm going to be using green and blue up here. So I think I will start with some blue and I'm just kind of putting a little bit of blue up here. Getting my brush really wet. The more water you have, the lighter your color is going to be. So I don't want to make this super dark because I'm going to actually add some green to it to kind of blend. So I just want to put a little bit of blue. Okay, once I get my blue on there, I'm going to go get some green. And I'm going to put some green here at the bottom. And I'm kind of going on top of that blue that I just painted because it kind of starts blending them together, making it look like a kind of a new color. So I'm kind of going up over that blue that I painted, mixing them together. Lots of water on my brush. Watercolor is supposed to be light. It's not supposed to be super dark. You're supposed to be able to see through it. Okay, there's my cool trees up there. And I'm gonna move on to my rocks. Now I'm just gonna kind of show you guys what I'm doing. I'm gonna stop the video and move on so that you can take your time doing all the different sections and you don't have to sit here watching me do it, okay? So for the 2 colors that I'm gonna use for my rocks, you could use like an orange and a brown, which would look really cool together. If you wanted to use orange and black, you could, but black is so dark, so you have to be really careful if you use black to use a lot of water with it. I'm gonna do brown and orange. So I think I'm gonna do the brown on the bottom. And notice it's not very dark because I don't want this to be super dark because I'm using watercolors. And then I'm gonna take some orange and go orange at the top. And then I'm gonna, just like I did with my mountains, I'm gonna kind of go over that brown and it's gonna kind of merge those colors together and make kind of a new color for me. Kind of an orangish brown. Gonna do the same thing here. Wash my brush. Get some orange. And then after I get that orange on, I'm gonna kind of just go over the brown, kind of mix them together a little bit. Kind of creates a cool color for me. I like to do the darker color on the bottom and get lighter as I go. All right, I'm gonna pause right here. You guys go ahead and paint your rocks. All right, you guys, I hope you have all your rocks painted and had fun doing that. I'm gonna go ahead and move my paper up here. So the last thing I'm going to work on are my bushes down here. And I'm just gonna do the same thing, you guys. I'm going to use 2 different colors. I think I'm gonna use red and yellow for these. And so I'm gonna do my red on the bottom here. Remember, a really wet brush is what you need, guys, for watercolors, okay? Use a really wet brush. I'm just kind of going in circles here, adding some color. Then I'm going to go get some yellow, put it up here, and then kind of mix those two colors together there in the middle. And it kind of ends up being a little bit of orange in the middle, kind of like a sunset here. But I'm making some fall trees. And then I'm going to do that to each of these sections down here. All right, you guys, I got my bushes done down here, or my trees, whichever one to call them. The last thing I need to do is probably do some sort of a sky. I kind of don't want to use blue because I have so much blue here. I think I'm going to use purple since I haven't really used purple. So once again, a really wet brush, just a little bit of paint. Remember, watercolor is supposed to be nice and see-through. And I'm just going to go ahead and finish painting this. And then I am done. I hope you guys had fun. I hope you enjoyed painting, doing watercolor, and are inspired by this beautiful Canadian waterfall landscape based on the art of J.E.H. MacDonald. All right, you guys, I will hopefully see you next time. Make sure you put it on the drying rack. Bye.